Hello, Tom Kindred here, host of Small Biz Florida, the podcast that's all things business in the state of Florida. One of the primary reasons we created Small Biz Florida here at the Florida SBDC at Indian River State College was to provide a channel to communicate important information regarding the business community, especially during times of disaster. As Florida small business owners address and deal with the effects of the COVID-19 issue, Small Biz Florida is dedicated to continuing to bring content related to assisting owners and operators through this difficult time. Stay tuned to Small Biz Florida as we will update the podcast with current information regarding the COVID-19 issue.
This is Small Biz Florida, the podcast designed and produced specifically for Florida small business owners and entrepreneurs. Small Biz Florida, talk that works for Florida. This podcast is supported by the Florida SBDC Network, providing the tools, strategies, and expertise to help Florida's business community thrive. Visit the Florida SBDC online at www.floridasbdc.org or contact your local office and get started on your path to success today.
This is Small Biz Florida, the podcast and broadcast that's everything business in the state of Florida, brought to you by the Florida SBDC at Indian River State College. And of course, there is an awful lot to talk about in terms of small business right now in the state of Florida with our COVID-19 issue going on and our recent proclamation from our governor, stay home and stay safe. So really putting a little bit of a bind on the small business community in the state of Florida. But Small Biz Florida is here to try to make sure that we're getting out current and up-to-date information about all things business in the state of Florida. And we've created some special COVID-19 episodes here of the broadcast and podcast. So this is one of those special editions of Small Biz Florida, and we've got with us today Zach Ibanez from EZE Tech, a company that actually helps small business owners take the work home, basically set up shop technology at home so they can operate and function at the house. Welcome to the show, Zach.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And we've got with us, as always, my sometimes co-host on the podcast and all times co-host on the broadcast here, Small Biz Florida, Mr. Greg Wyatt.
And it's very important that you're getting this essential information out.
Yeah, well, that was, again, as I said in other episodes of the broadcast and the podcast, that basically that was the primary purpose that we created this podcast, was during times like this that we could get current and up-to-date information out to the small business community, especially following a disaster. But again, part of what's driving, one of the driving factors here is people are going to have to work from home. And so we saw the opportunity to bring Zach in, who kind of specializes in helping folks take their business technology and taking their business operations into the house. So that's what we wanted to dedicate this episode to. So again, thanks for taking time out. No, you're busy, Zach, but thanks for taking time out, talking to us a little bit about this whole issue of work from home. So start, as we always do, Zach, just a little bit of background on yourself and kind of your pathway to EZE Tech.
Yeah, so essentially what our company specializes in, and before this COVID-19 happened, we worked with agencies and companies here in St. Lucie County to help them with compliancy, with just IT managed services. Obviously, since the COVID-19 pandemic occurred, everyone is now having to keep compliancy, but manage to move all their employees home and keep business moving to some extent. Right. And that's been a major challenge for those companies who haven't done the proper technology changes, and a lot of the processes that we were used to in the past don't really apply to how they need to be used today. And so our company specializes in helping those companies move their employees, yet keep compliancy, keep security, and essentially keep their business operating.
I got to ask you too, Zach. I mean, what, as you see this, the COVID-19 issue kind of, unfolding each and every day, we obviously have conversations about what we're going to look like beyond this problem. Do you see that maybe this really will accelerate the idea of a work from home concept? Do you see some of that starting to happen?
I mean, I totally do. This is a good trial period for companies that are used to the traditional everyone work out of an office. And when technology is put in place and you realize, hey, I have 50 employees and they're all still capable of working from home, and still producing and still bringing in business and completing their tasks, that's a kind of a liberating thing for some business owners that may not necessarily need an office space anymore. Right. So that's definitely something that's going to come up.
Before we get into the specific issues, which of course, we're going to talk about, obviously cybersecurity issues, which is a big issue that the Florida SBDC now, focuses on. But before we get into some of those specific issues, what are some of the general problems and issues that people face in trying to, have their employees work from home?
Sure. So a lot of the main issues with people working from home is the home network itself. Most houses are not set up with a high-end firewall or a good, if your kids are using the computers, you don't really know what they're doing. You don't know if they're downloading malicious software onto that computer. You don't know exactly what's happening in your own infrastructure. As how a company would know that has an IT managed service provider, for example, like EasyTech, that is there to track any kind of malicious attacks, is there to track, internal vulnerabilities and internal issues that may be occurring. The house network just was not designed in the same manner of what a business network was.
Yeah, makes sense. Talk about the teleconferencing capabilities today. I mean, things like GoToMeeting and Zoom have gotten much better, right? So, how's all, and how does that? Is there connectivity to a home network that makes those products perform less well than if they were on a bigger network in the office?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to think most businesses have the funding to invest in high-end, fiber optic networks. Additional security and all those type of things. The typical house network is not normally getting super fast internet. They may get internet fast enough to stream Netflix and things like that, but when you're doing a teleconference with 15 to 20 different employees using products like Zoom, you may start running into some issues. So the internet service provider at your residential may need to be upgraded. And we do a lot of that auditing when those companies want to get to that level where they are doing that. We kind of do that essential audit and do the testing to validate whether or not it's capable.
So you can, a company like yours can provide a higher level of service and products such as Wi-Fi type products. You can do that in a home.
Absolutely.
You don't have to go to the standard providers like a Comcast or an AT&T. There is a commercial business level that can be brought into the home.
Well, funny enough, the way that our company works, Easy eTech is partnered with a lot of the internet service providers. So essentially, we like to be your one-stop shop. You come to us, you say, hey, this is my objective, this is what I'm trying to do. Instead of saying, oh, well, okay, go call Comcast, go call this person. We do that ourselves for you, and we give you one seamless product that you say yes or no to, and we handle all the back-end work.
Okay. And you handle the monthly service of that capability and for the business.
Yep.
And we could do this podcast from my couch.
Yeah, we probably could. Yes, I like it.
Absolutely.
Do it from my couch too. That's right. If it weren't for all the applications for the Florida Small Business Emergency Bridge Loan, yes, we could do it from the couch.
In our PJs.
That's right. So Zach, let's go through a little bit of a list here. Again, let's talk about the one that we're all going to, everybody wants to know. What are the cybersecurity risks in transitioning from the office to the house?
Yeah, so some of the main points, obviously, you want to make sure that your Wi-Fi is protected. You want to make sure that you are using a router that has firewall features there to protect you, that those firewall features are enabled. I can't tell you how many times I go to a Comcast installed, router, and I see that the settings are set to the minimum settings. Obviously, that's you're running a bit of a risk when you're transmitting company information that way. Some other things that companies can utilize are VPN tunnels, which are awesome for keeping your company data available to those external employees. At the same token, that adds a layer of security. You can give those employees remote access to the computers that they had at the office. So you don't necessarily need to install your products, your software on that employee's computer. You could just have them remote in from the computer at home to their office computer. So that saves a lot of security risk as well.
All right. So what about products? What are some of the products that a business owner needs to kind of be aware of that he should be looking for when trying to transition these folks from the office to the house?
So for sure, Windows 10 does have I would say a pretty decent antivirus. The problem is that it doesn't notify anybody other than the user, and in most cases the users just ignore it. What Easy eTech provides is a managed antivirus product that it actually not just detects and blocks phishing attacks, blocks malware, blocks these Trojan horses. They actually report back to us, and then our staff members can be proactive and clean them up, protect you even better, and fix the problem before it actually becomes a widespread problem. For those companies like the ones that are in the medical industry who require compliancy HIPAA requirements, those type of companies are obligated by law to have these type of things in place. A strong firewall, intrusion prevention, the antivirus, and also event and log analyzing. So we want to make sure that if you are compromised, that there is an actual record there that shows when and where and what was actually taken away. So we help those companies as well get that in place, not just on their on-premise, but of course their remote users as well.
All right. What about the HIPAA? Again, an important topic for certain businesses, medical fields and things of that nature. What about the HIPAA compliance, and how does one, again, deal with that very important issue working from home?
Right. So again, with HIPAA compliancy, the key thing to remember is encryption. You have to have a encrypted tunnel, end-to-end encryption between your facility and the end user, the remote user. So you want to use secure VPN tunnels. You want to encrypt the computers. You want to encrypt the hard drives. Any kind of application that's being used should be using end-to-end encryption. And it's funny you actually mentioned Zoom a few minutes ago, because as of yesterday, Zoom just got in trouble for saying that they had end-to-end encryption and not actually having it. So,
oops.
It's a great product, but the back end wasn't up to standards, and they're now taking a lot of slack from everybody. So
every television network in the world is using those guys. Right?
Yeah. So there's some other great alternatives. Microsoft has released Teams probably a few years ago now, I want to say, and Teams has been awesome. That is a great alternative, and there's a few other open
Does
source
Teams
ones.
also offer like a component like Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Video conferencing.
Okay.
If you're like I like to call it a Microsoft house, right? You use your Word, your PowerPoint, your Excel, you use the Exchange email system, the Office 365 suite.
Right.
That's already included in there.
Wow.
So it's literally just have a company like us set it up for you, and then you can start utilizing it. So you're not necessarily even having to pay anything extra. If you're already getting that, that's part of your regular Microsoft products.
Okay. Talk to us about what are some other products that are like business software, or, are there products out there that make this transition to home office a little easier?
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of it is it's more technologies than products. They're having the right firewall to do VPN tunnels, having the right security measures in place, including a managed antivirus is very important. Again, when it comes to the compliant companies, you want to make sure that there is logging and tracking for any kind of malicious attacks. So all of these different technologies, they're a combination of many different products, and combined all together, you'll get a very secure, reliable, and efficient type of remote work infrastructure. So.
And what about the individual that has the office computer on the desk? They also have a laptop, and maybe they're just going to take this laptop home, and that's how they're going to function. Mm-hmm. That's acceptable to do, and everything, security-wise, is if you've got it on the computer at the office, do you have it on your computer, the laptop? What's the connectivity between those two devices?
Yeah, again, the best, in my opinion, the best way to go about it is to use a VPN tunnel and remote into your office computer, okay, which is behind a probably more sophisticated system. Obviously, if you're going to be using public Wi-Fi, well, no one's at coffee shops nowadays, right? Everyone's at home, so we're a little bit better than where we were before, I would say. You want to make sure that you use the proper VPN tunnels, that you're using the right technologies.
All right. What's is there big cost to using a company like yours to help get this set up? A lot of time involved, or is it pretty quick and easy and pretty inexpensive? How does it all, when we engage someone like you to move us to the house? Talk to us about that,
sure.
That whole process.
So most of our companies that don't fall under HIPAA requirements and other compliances, they get a much cheaper package with us. Typically, we're talking between $50 to $100 per computer. Okay, that's the typical price range. If you're looking at compliancy, it's a little bit more because there's a lot more software that has to be involved for that record keeping and that compliancy reporting that essentially we provide for you. So that's the back end pricing essentially. As far as implementation, it's very easy. I mean, we essentially come in, we put a small little piece of software inside of each computer. That software deploys and it installs everything that we need and it gives us remote access to those computers. So if you lose that laptop, anything happens at all where you feel that you need it wiped out, we have the capabilities of remote wiping out these computers. You want to make sure that obviously if you have patient health information or secure information, even company information, intellectual property. Those are all things that most business owners don't want to let go out on the wild. So by having just our software on there gives us the ability to do a remote wipe if it gets lost or stolen.
How big a computer system do you need at home to, say, run your business?
Well, essentially, if you're doing just remote desktop, you don't need a big computer at all. I mean, you could get a cheapy $200-300 computer and you could be remoting into your office computer. I mean, I can even remote from my cell phone to an office computer if I wanted to. Right. Today, our cell phones are just as good as almost any other computer. So,
and with all that's going on in the small business community and small business world, there's obviously a lot of assistance now being offered and talked about and considered. Are there companies out there? Are some of these big technology companies offering some things, reduced price and free,
Absolutely. So,
to help us in small business?
Just like the government trying to help, a lot of these major companies out there are offering awesome deals right now. If you go to my website, easyetech.com, and look at my menu bar there, you'll see it'll say COVID-19. That will direct you to a nice list that Bleeping Computers made that shows you a breakdown of all these different companies and their specials that they're offering right now. There's a ton of them out there, a lot of freebies, a lot of 3 months for free, 4 months for free, for some premium products.
Okay. And again, give us that site again to go to.
Sure.
What you've done is set up on your site a link that we can go click on, and it'll give us kind of a rundown of some of the deals.
So my website is easyetech.com. And if you look at my menu bar, right next to contact, you will see it'll say COVID-19.
Nice.
If you click on that, it'll redirect you to the blog posted by Bleeping Computers, and that'll give you a really nice breakdown of all these different companies. And I think even Zoom might be on there as well.
Right.
But best practices. SANS is a really good one to give you policies to give your employees. And all of that stuff will really help speed the process up and, make sure that you're doing it securely.
Okay. And I guess, you yourself, Zach, are a small business owner and operator.
I am.
Yeah. When did you create Easy Tech? I know you spent a decade or so in the business, but when did you create your own small business, Easy?
Yeah, so
Tech?
my company's been open since 2012. We just recently moved right there by the Mets Stadium, and opened up our office, had our grand opening with the chamber about 2.5 months ago, and it's been great. It's been really awesome. So yeah.
Well, talk to us a little bit about what you're facing with this whole COVID-19 thing. What's happened to your business?
Well, I'm sure you can imagine we've been busy. Helping people move to the house has been a major thing for us. A lot of people bring us laptops that are ancient laptops that are running very bad, and we help them get them up to snuff, upgrade to solid state hard drives. We're actually offering a promotion for solid state hard drive upgrades. For us, it's actually been pretty good because of the fact that we're an IT company. We ultimately ended up hiring somebody who did get laid off because of COVID-19, and they've been helping us, do a little bit of the marketing side of things. So,
well, good.
For us, it's been good. But
all right, so I think the short answer to the big question about how to take this all home, because unfortunately we're sort of being directed to work from home, especially within the last I think it was yesterday. The governor issued the order to kind of shelter in place. So with that going on, we really are businesses are gonna have to take a really serious look at moving technology back to the house and allowing their employees to work from home and still trying to be productive out there and keep revenues flowing. And so it's a challenge. But Zach, you're telling us it's doable.
Absolutely. Totally doable.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So as we bring to close this segment of Small Biz Florida, Zach, one more time, your website and that link to get to kind of understand what's out there available to help us.
Absolutely. So my website is easyetech.com, and just look at the menu bar next to Contact Us. You'll see COVID-19. Click on that. It'll shoot you over and give you a nice list of all the different companies offering awesome deals right now, and policies, procedures, things that'll help small businesses thrive through this.
Okay. So with that, we'll bring to close another segment of Small Biz Florida, the podcast and broadcast. It's all things business in the state of Florida. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg, for co-hosting today.
You bet.
And we will talk to you on the next episode of Small Biz Florida. Thanks, everyone, for listening to this special edition of Small Biz Florida. Stay tuned to the podcast, as the Florida SBDC Network will be updating these special edition episodes regularly over the coming days.
This has been Small Biz Florida, created and produced by the Florida Small Business Development Center at Indian River State College. Your host for Small Biz Florida is Tom Kindred. Partners for Small Biz Florida include WPSL and WSTU and Indian River State College, named the 2019 winner of the Aspen Prize for Community College Excellence.
Hello, Tom Kindred here, host of Small Biz Florida, the podcast that's all things business in the state of Florida. One of the primary reasons we created Small Biz Florida here at the Florida SBDC at Indian River State College was to provide a channel to communicate important information regarding the business community, especially during times of disaster. As Florida small business owners address and deal with the effects of the COVID-19 issue, Small Biz Florida is dedicated to continuing to bring content related to assisting owners and operators through this difficult time. Stay tuned to Small Biz Florida as we will update the podcast with current information regarding the COVID-19 issue.
This is Small Biz Florida, the podcast designed and produced specifically for Florida small business owners and entrepreneurs. Small Biz Florida, talk that works for Florida. This podcast is supported by the Florida SBDC Network, providing the tools, strategies, and expertise to help Florida's business community thrive. Visit the Florida SBDC online at www.floridasbdc.org or contact your local office and get started on your path to success today.
This is Small Biz Florida, the podcast and broadcast that's everything business in the state of Florida, brought to you by the Florida SBDC at Indian River State College. And of course, there is an awful lot to talk about in terms of small business right now in the state of Florida with our COVID-19 issue going on and our recent proclamation from our governor, stay home and stay safe. So really putting a little bit of a bind on the small business community in the state of Florida. But Small Biz Florida is here to try to make sure that we're getting out current and up-to-date information about all things business in the state of Florida. And we've created some special COVID-19 episodes here of the broadcast and podcast. So this is one of those special editions of Small Biz Florida, and we've got with us today Zach Ibanez from EZE Tech, a company that actually helps small business owners take the work home, basically set up shop technology at home so they can operate and function at the house. Welcome to the show, Zach.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And we've got with us, as always, my sometimes co-host on the podcast and all times co-host on the broadcast here, Small Biz Florida, Mr. Greg Wyatt.
And it's very important that you're getting this essential information out.
Yeah, well, that was, again, as I said in other episodes of the broadcast,